Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast. First of all, I just want to say I am recording this from my mom's place here in Canada, in Nova Scotia, and she doesn't live alone, and there are kids running around on the other end of the house playing beautifully, and I don't want to tell them to stop, so you might hear some screaming and laughing and shouting and whatever in the background in this podcast episode, but that is fine because it's nature and it's beautiful and they're children and it's lovely. So besides that, I want to talk to you guys today about your intuition and how to differentiate the feelings you get from your intuition versus your ego, because this is a question and this is something that I've been working on for so long, and it's actually quite confusing at times to know when your ego and your fear is screaming at you or your intuition is screaming at you, and you're like, I don't know which decision I should make, and I don't know which road I should go down, and it's so confusing, and like part of you is saying yes and part of you is saying no, and part of your brain saying left and the other brain saying right and whatever. And truly tuning in and figuring out what is your soul's highest purpose and what is possibly a feeling you're getting from your spirit guides, your angels, your intuition, also known as your gut, a feeling in your gut, leading you in the right direction or giving you a signal that something's not right for you, versus your ego, also known as your fear, like a fear-based thoughts or fear-based feelings you may have around making a decision, and knowing which one is which. And today I want to talk to you about how I decipher between the two to help you guys get a better understanding of where your thoughts might be coming from and just make it that little bit easier for you to make decisions throughout your day and for your life. So the way I see intuition and ego working differently is that intuition is more a sensation and a feeling in the body that doesn't actually come from a thought, whereas the ego or the fear is a sensation that definitely you can feel physically within the body, but it actually stems from a thought. And this is really hard to differentiate because sometimes these thoughts that we have that are creating these negative or positive feelings throughout our body physically, these thoughts can actually be subconscious and in our unconscious mind. And we're not even consciously aware that we're having these thoughts. And we're only aware that we're feeling these sensations and these feelings within our body. So it's about figuring out where these feelings and the sensations and the feeling in your gut is coming from. Is it coming from thoughts in your head that you may be unaware of at this point? So it's really, really important to stop being frantic, stop taking action, stop analyzing, stop talking to yourself, stop writing the list of pros and cons. It is so important to just be still and find silence. And sometimes that's hard when we feel that we need to make a decision in a certain amount of time, like, no, time is running out and this person wants to know this, and if I book this flight, I need to book it now, and blah, 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 blah. But the most important thing you can do in that time of confusion is stopping, well, first of all, slowing down, and then stopping and pausing and allowing yourself to dig deep. And a meditation, for example, at this point can be so helpful. And sitting down on the ground and just being in silence, even without music, with your eyes closed, can help. But meditation doesn't always look like that for everyone. And that's not always the best way that everyone can channel their inner intuition and their inner higher self and their inner knowledge that they have, or channel in messages from their spirit guides or angels, or however you want to see this, past relatives. So it's just important to find this silence and this stillness. And that can be found in many different ways. It doesn't have to be sitting on the floor with your eyes closed. It can be lying down with your eyes closed. It can be driving with your eyes open, obviously. It can be floating in the ocean. It can be swimming. It can be surfing. It can be dancing. It can be so many different things. But really taking your mind away from the worry. And when we have these moments of peace and inner peace, it's then much easier to differentiate from our ego and our intuition, and finding out which decision is best in alignment for our higher selves and our happiness and our overall joy. And sometimes both decisions can be good as well. It's not always one is good and one is bad. A lot of times, both decisions, whatever you end up choosing, is going to be good for you and is going to be okay. And whichever decision you choose will be the right decision. And you'll find a way to make either way work. But I'm talking about these moments where, and I'm not taking that. I'm also taking those moments into account. But moments where you just feel like it's do or die, like they're really life-altering decisions. And these are even more important to really check in and really tune in with the body and figure out what your ego is saying and what your intuition is saying, which is the love-based thought and which is the fear-based thought, right? And once you find this moment of silence and peace and stillness, it's then good to ask yourself that question and ask yourself out loud. Just say out loud, should I move to this country? Or should I take this job offer? Or should I end this relationship? And that initial feeling that you get, that initial feeling and urge and desire that you feel will lean you more towards one decision than the other. That's usually your intuition, because it's before your mind can even come in and think of an excuse or think of a reason why. It's that initial sensation that you get within your body, and that sensation will lead you and guide you to which decision you want. It'll either make you feel depleted and on a low vibration, or really sick in the stomach, which usually means no. Or there'll be an initial sensation of excitement and potentially even nervousness, but freedom and not contraction. It's really important to also differentiate when we're feeling nervous or excited. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. But when you're feeling contracted and small and stuck, that's usually not a good thing. And your intuition is then usually telling you no, or this isn't right. But when you're feeling nervous and excited and you feel expansive, or like you're going to learn, and like you're going to just be free, then that's usually your intuition saying yes, and that it is good for your higher self. And sometimes when we find this moment of stillness and then we ask ourselves this question, we might get an initial feeling of, oh, yes, exciting, or oh, no, fuck. But then, very quickly, our mind kicks in, which is our ego. And it says, well, yeah, your intuition said no, but it actually seems really good, because when you write the pros and cons list, there's way more pros on it. Or your mind will come in and say, oh, well, your intuition said yes, but if you do this, it's going to be very uncomfortable, and all these things might happen to make the whole experience just so much worse, and you don't want to put yourself through that, right? So a lot of times our intuition and our ego and our fear can be clashing heads and working in opposite directions, and it really does make us confused. But finding that moment of stillness and asking that question and having that initial feeling, or when that first opportunity came up for you, was that first initial feeling like expansive, or was it contracting and a bit like, oh shit, I'm just kind of filled with worry? And then the more you thought about it, it was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe, or was the first initial thought like, wow, yeah, that could be incredible, and then later your mind's like, yeah, well, kind of felt like that initially, but the more you think about it, it's kind of actually crazy. And I'm not saying that you need to just go with the first initial thought you had before knowing any information about this new opportunity that arose, or this new person who came into your life, or whatever. I'm saying that, yeah, you still need to be logical about it, and yes, use your brain, but don't just use it purely on emotion as well. It's so important to make all our decisions in life based on, our heart and our mind. That's what yoga and Ayurveda is all about, is connecting the mind and the body and the spirit. It's not that one is better than the other. You can't live a life from only your soul and not use your brain and your heart. And you can't only live your life based purely from your heart without using your brain. And vice versa. You can't only use your brain all the time and just be analytical and logical about every single thing without using your heart and without taking your feelings into consideration. So, I'm saying you need to have this balance and use each of these to make a final decision. But it's so important to learn the difference between our intuition and our ego, and what's coming from love and what's coming from fear, what's going to serve our higher selves, what's going to up level us, or what's going to destroy us or just kind of be a waste of time or cause pain that is unnecessary, that you don't need, that, pain that you've already learned something from, that you don't need to experience again. So I hope this episode helped, and I hope you guys understand what I mean when having these sensations and physical feelings within the body, and then figuring out, what am I thinking in my head? Am I just thinking really bad thoughts that I'm like unaware of, and that's why I'm feeling really shitty? Or am I thinking really good thoughts and that's why I'm feeling really excited, but then actually my intuition is saying another thing? So finding those moments of silence and not leaping and taking action out of fear or anxiety or stress or feeling pressured under time. It's so important in these moments we actually just pause and slow down and find that silence and stillness, and then re-ask the question. And what is that initial feeling in your body? Is that feeling good, or is that feeling bad? And all the thoughts that come along after that are, you can take those into account, but usually that initial feeling you get is your intuition. And that's when people say, be impulsive and act now. It's because they're listening to their intuition. Because you can be impulsive sometimes and shit will hit the fan. And sometimes shit needed to hit the fan in order for you to learn. But sometimes you're just repeating the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. And that's when you really need to question, okay, where am I basing my decisions from? Is this my intuition? Is these the messages I'm receiving from my past loved ones guiding me, from my angels, from my spirit guides? Or am I basing this decision from my ego? It's so, so important, and it will save you so much time and save you so much pain if you learn to master this. And each and every one of us can do this. It's not hard. We all have an intuition, and we all have an ego. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Instagram at arel.hug.love or on Facebook, just at arelhug. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.